I'm here with Naomi Kent. So let's talk about being successful in a boardroom. I call you the boardroom whisperer. Are you good with that?
That's fine.
I think you're the boardroom whisperer because literally it is understanding how to show up with the confidence and the courage to be successful. And that's your business. Tell us a little bit about your business, the Boardroom Co.
Confidence is so important, whether you're trying to get a new job, whether you're trying to get a promotion, whether you're looking to just do something new. If you approach it with confidence, the chances of it succeeding, I think, are just much higher. So I work with senior professionals who want to build a board career. They want to be on corporate boards. I also work with people who are actually thinking about serving on nonprofit boards, and they want to figure out what is the right move and how should they do it. There are lots of ways that you can be successful in it, and lots of ways that it can maybe waste time and energy. So I guide people through that process. And then on the higher end, people who are looking for corporate boards, it's about preparing them, positioning them for the right opportunities, and then helping them go after them. Because if you don't take action, it's never going to happen.
I think an important thing to think about when we decide we want to serve in a governance format, which is basically what serving on a board is. I think it's important to ask yourself why, because there are some big expectations that are on the back end of that. Can you talk a little bit about now you have done all the things, checked all the boxes, and you want to serve on a board? Talk a little bit about governance and about the mindset and the mindset shift that many misunderstand.
No, I think the role of the board member is all around oversight. So it's basically a leadership team will come to you, and the leadership team will say, "Hey, Chantra, we've decided that we're going to take the business in this direction." And then your job is not to say, "Well, that's a terrible idea," but to perhaps ask questions and figure out, "Well, what can I help them understand, or how can I understand this strategy a little better so that I can help guide them?" And I think when we're in a role...
So wait a minute. We got to double click there. So it is one mindset to be a doer and a practitioner. It is another mindset to be in governance and to be in strategy. Absolutely juxtaposed.
Totally different. And that's why board members tend to have a little bit more experience than executives, because they've sort of been there and done it. But I think one of the things you have to be aware of, it's a little bit like coaching.
I know about coaching.
Yeah. You can't come into the room and say, "Well, I did it this way 3 years ago and it worked, so you should do it that way." It never really works like that. The company is different, the people are different, the culture's different. So you actually have to take a lot of things into consideration. You can't just come with, "Well, I did it this way, so this is how it works." So you have to act like a coach and a mentor as well. It's a big role.
And the other thing I think that I've learned in my board experience, team player, because I think oftentimes you have this collection of just baddies that come together, they're on the board, and everyone has earned the right to be there. But having this misunderstanding that you're a member of a team, and now it's how do we get to the desired end for that entity based on what the best needs, best decisions are for that entity. It's not a one player.
I have a list of the top attributes of highly effective board members. Collaboration, which is exactly what you're talking about, which is collaborating with other people on the board to come to a decision that benefits shareholders, stakeholders, and everyone else. So you're right. It's like, but you may not get along with someone, you may not agree with them on everything, but you kind of have to come together and say, right, well, let's keep our opinions aside and let's think like, what is the benefit to the company? So you have to really, there's a lot there, and you really have to take your own personal ego out of it. You have to be humble, but you have to be confident, because sometimes in a boardroom, or often in a boardroom, you're around big egos, people who've been CEOs. Maybe you have as well, right? And so you have to learn how to kind of manage that relationship.
It's for the benefit of the entity. And I think that is something that people cannot misunderstand. So then, okay, let's get to the dollars and the cents of the matter. There is a career after careers, as careers are evolving, pivoting, that allows you to get more income. You get paid for boards, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people start to build their board career. You can start with nonprofits. You can start with the strategic advisory boards. And then at some point in their life, they say, well, I actually might want to quit the corporate full-time world at maybe 55, 60, and I want to go and serve on boards. My biggest piece of advice is do not wait until 55 or 60. It's often a little like too late when you're just walking out the door of your company and then you want to start a board career. So my advice
Meaning
is
you've never done one.
Yeah. Correct. So nonprofits, I would say, start something in your 30s or late 20s.
That's right on.
Corporate, start something in your 40s or 50s.
And it plays together. I mean, I like to tell people that even though you think this is one more thing that's taking me away from my life, from my family, it plays together because the skills that I grew up with on boards, I believe those skills played right into my ascension in corporate. Would you agree with that?
I would. And let's talk a little bit just quick about your book, because I know you talk about the 7 truths, right?
Yes.
And the 7 things that make you successful. You cannot be a board member who walks in the room and says, oh, well, you know, the world's about to fall apart, so we might as well just give up, right? And things like confidence.
Sure
We've talked about confidence, resilience. I mean, I work with very senior executives. I would say the one quality they all have is resilience.
Yeah.
They are not a victim of anything that has happened in their life.
That's right.
It has all happened just because it's happened or whatever. And they're always looking forward and they're moving forward. And then other things, we had courage.
Yeah.
On a board, you have to have courage to actually look around the room. If everyone's voting no and you're like, I'm a yes or a yes and no, you have to be able to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to go against the grain.
That part, I think you can't misunderstand how important that is, because really the reason that you're there is to bring your unique viewpoint, right? And that courage can be really scary. I've had to do that a couple of times myself, where the vote all around the room was one way and I was staunchly another way. Now, let's talk a little bit about this. When you get to the place where the room is one way, you're staunchly another way, I believe that there's a how to navigate that experience as well, right? Would you agree with that? And so you give me a grade here. So what I did was not necessarily make it about I'm right and they're wrong. I leaned into the quality of provocative inquiry to start to pose those questions that really expanded the viewpoint of the why they were thinking the way they were. And that strategy has worked for me, and not necessarily shifting the room to me, because it's never about that. It's about the entity. But it's certainly worked in helping others to have a more complete articulation of their why. What do you think? How'd I do?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely there. So I'm saying one of the greatest skills that effective board members have is the ability to be able to communicate well.
Yeah.
And to not ask a question that makes someone feel like they've made a mistake.
Yes.
Or like, why did you do it like that? Right. Well, be better to maybe say, hey, help me understand the reasons behind the decision making here. That's such a nicer way of you're still digging in.
Yes.
But you're not coming at it under attack. There's another tip. On boards, you talked about collaboration and team. I would recommend you say we instead of I, because it's a we thing. We're all in this together.
Yes.
Leadership and the board. It's not me. It's not just this guy and me.
Yes.
And so, you do have to use the right language.
Absolutely.
In order to get to the right. And I would say of building good relationships with other board members. And again, this goes for everyone here in the room. Build great relationships with people in your company.
Yeah.
Spend the time one-on-one with your coworkers, because you are going to have a disagreement. There's going to come a time where there's going to be a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
But if I know you and I like you and I trust you, I know that maybe there's a misunderstanding there, and I'm going to assume the best option versus the worst, right?
Absolutely.
So
no, I think that's right.
I think it's really the communication part is absolutely essential. Yep.
So one of the words that's on my list of learning is fortitude. Have you ever coached someone to walk away from a board experience where they didn't see themselves being a part of something that they really believed in? Have you ever coached anyone in that? Because I believe things don't always go rosy.
There's been many, many people. So a lot of fraud takes place in businesses. I know we don't like to talk about it, and everyone.
Real.
It is real, and it's real in not-for-profits, unfortunately, and also in for-profits. And when people identify fraudulent activity and it's not dealt with correctly, you should leave, because that's only going to backfire and come back to you. You're a fiduciary, and if they're not listening and it's not happening, then you should. So yes, I've done that a number of times. Other times it has been that a board has, and this is just human beings, right? When we get into groups, we have factions and people that are, and over time, people might be on the board because they know somebody or something like that, right? Boards are not perfect, but people have left for that reason. So they say, I'm not sure I want to be part of this group because I feel like the voting is not being done independently. So in that case, again, back out. But yes, you should absolutely back out of something. And also look for the red flags going in. And this is the same for a job.
Ask those questions.
For a job, a new job, look at the red flag. There are red flags usually right at the start.
I love that. Yeah. All right. So we're on site at this conference, Women's Leadership Conference. So many people are starting to get ready to learn and to grow. All of the topics that are going to be on the list. Let's talk about navigating spaces, because I think that that's a topic that you cannot underestimate, right? So when you come to an experience like this, how do you get prepared? What's your game ready?
I mean, you have to sort of mentally prepare beforehand. There's a lot of energy required.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Which one?
I'm a bit of both.
Okay.
I think most people are a bit of both. Yeah. I like to be alone sometimes, but then I love this. This is really fun for me. But you got to get the energy for it, right? You got to bring the energy.
Yeah.
So if you're not feeling very well today, this is
you better hype it up or stay home.
There's a coffee, lots of coffee.
Lots of coffee.
But no, I think I would say bring an open mind.
Yeah.
Want to learn from people. Be curious. It's not all about you.
Yeah,
actually, listen more, talk less. Ask lots of great questions. And then if you meet someone that you really like, go have a one-to-one with them.
Yeah.
Don't spend the whole conference, speaking to one person.
That's right on.
I
love that.
You might find like your bestie, right? And you might be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We get on so well. But take the time to really get to know others. Everyone's really open. As I walked in the door, people were got hugs from people I didn't even know.
Yes.
So
how's that feel as a British woman?
No, I'm actually fine with it. But I was like, oh, this is a great group of women. So the vibe here and the culture has already started. And I think that that's going to continue to go throughout the day. We just got to keep the energy up.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think the other thing too is realizing that this is the start. Right. Yes. And I think for sure, and I already see it, the journals and the note taking and all of that. But this is the start. And I love that when you meet people, have a little bit of an internal clock that says, okay, we've made a connection. How are we going to stay connected? And then I own, you own, we own following up. But now we both need to set ourselves free to continue to go and make more connections, right?
Right.
I think that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And bring your business cards, have your LinkedIn ready. Make sure your LinkedIn is looking good too.
Stay ready.
Right. You should have done that beforehand. But
yes.
LinkedIn, if you're looking for a new job, if you're looking to just make connections. And here's the other thing with making relationships. It's not a one and done, right? You have to continually build. And I think that it happens over time.
Yes.
I reconnect with people I've known for 10, 20 years all the time, right? And sometimes I've met them. I met someone I met on a plane, So you have to be open. You really have to be open.
Yeah,
so.
Stay ready.
Correct.
Stay ready. I think that that's something that we can't downplay too. So when it comes to being an on-purpose leader, what does stay ready mean for you? What do you do?
I think when you're a leader, a lot of what you do is projected, and people will copy, and people look to you to see what they should be doing.
Yeah.
And so it's actually one of the most important roles, and probably the scariest role, right, that you can have, because everything you do is how you're setting the culture of the business or the group, right? And I forget her name, but the woman who organized this whole thing.
Katrina Hood.
Katrina, yeah. So she's brought the energy.
She
right?
has. She set the tone.
Yeah, she's setting the tone. And I think that's what leadership is all about. But then, so you can't be a leader and walk into the office a little tired on a Monday or on a Friday.
Everyone's looking at me.
So I think it's all about, I think there's a lot of responsibility. So I would say to anyone who's thinking of a leadership role, you have to be ready for that responsibility, and you have to be ready to set the tone and to set an example too.
I love the word responsibility, because whether it's effective communications, whether it's hosting conversations, I think the responsibility always is going to lie on that leader, right? You know more. You know more.
Yeah.
And no different than momming, right? I love Proven Not Perfect because it pulls in all the aspects of my life, right? It's not been clean and perfect and pretty. And that's what the book is all about, right? It's me being, okay, I tell this one story, which is actually the most, it's the story of the book, right? So here I am about to travel to Shanghai, China for business negotiations. At the time, I was doing mergers and acquisitions. It was a huge deal. I have 3 kids at the time. My husband is working from home. He started a foundation and really was the flexible parent, as his wife was all over the world at this time. The visual, imagine this. Doorbell rings. It's the driver to take me to the airport. At that exact moment that I'm descending down the stairs to just do a drive-by through the kitchen and tell everybody goodbye, my husband is leaning over the sink, and I hear he can't lift his back. His back's out. At the same time, there's a kid in a high chair yelling and screaming that he's done. There's another kid asking for a signature on his homework, and there's a girl twirling doing ballet. The guy is honking, right? And that is life, right?
Yeah.
You can't shut the door on it.
No.
So I want to just make sure that we continue to encourage women who are driven for success, who know that there's a passion and a calling for leadership, for business, to don't forget about self-care, right? Don't forget about self-care.
Well, you have to make time, right? It's like, why are people have made
and that's
time?
What this is.
Right. They've made time on a Friday. They've taken a day off, or they've requested time off to go to this kind of conference. And hopefully companies have been open and they've let them, they've allowed them to go, because I think this is phenomenal. But it's exactly that. By the way, what happened? What did
what happened?
Yeah. How did did you get in the car or not?
I got in the car
late.
I got in the car. I did. I went over to the husband and I said, who played football, by the way, I was like, you got this, and smacked him on the butt. And I walked to the car, got in the car, and I might have shed a tear, because then, of course, the mom guilt takes over. Yeah. But I went and I had an amazing trip. My family was fine. But I think we've got to share those stories as women leaders, because so much of the rhetoric, especially now in a social media world, everyone sees the buttoned up, the complete.
Well, they see you here now. They see you here now, and they're like, oh, wow, she's written a book.
She woke up like
she's
this.
Done all these things. Yes. She's all this thing. Oh, this life you led must have all just been rosy all the way.
Yes.
And no, it's the tip of the iceberg. Yes. There's a lot underneath going on.
And it's what we're doing at night to prepare, right? I mean, you say something that's wonderful. You tell a story, and I want you to tell that story, where there was a woman who sought you to help her to pursue boards, and you met her for the first time, and she did not understand that preparation and stay ready. Do you remember that story?
Yeah.
She was the one that showed up, and she was absolutely not prepared.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, well, there have been actually a few of these different stories.
Like more than that one.
Yeah, but I can tell one in particular. So, when actually, even for an event like this, you have to be prepared. We talked about having your LinkedIn ready. You need to have a 5-second elevator pitch. Hi, my name is, and I'm a what, right? Where do I work? Thirdly, you need to have more than 5 seconds. You need to have maybe 30.
Yes.
You need to be awake and alive and ready. Didn't go out last night and drink a lot, right? Like, you are on it.
You're on.
So there's a whole load of preparation that even goes into coming to a conference and not even speaking, just being an attendee.
Yeah.
This particular person showed up, to an interview. They're wearing a hoodie. It was a board role.
I can't even get my head around that, right?
It was a large board, and no preparation, no resume, no bio, no nothing, and sort of like a well, you should want to speak to me.
That's
I mean, it was
exactly
just
right.
The ego there was a bit much, and so by the way, I've seen people do it with interviews too, and they've bombed the interview because they thought that they could just go get
and
through
wing
it. Right. And the company's like, you don't know anything about us. You've done absolutely no research. So,
and they know.
Of course, yeah, because of the way you speak and something you say. So I would say, yeah, preparation, positioning, those two are absolutely essential. And again, for an event like this or for anything that you're doing, being prepared is absolutely like you'll get promoted because of it. Like I've seen people get promoted because they do great preparation.
So we're going to have to let you go because as busy women are, busy women have to go, right? There's a call. There's a call on the back end of this. But I want you to answer this question. What should the ladies be thinking about to get the most out of this experience today?
I think you should be thinking, having an open mind is a big one. Being open to making new friends and new connections with a lot of people. But as I said before, I want you also to be thinking about that one-to-one meeting afterwards. Don't just come here, meet a bunch of people, connect on LinkedIn and just be done. Go get a one-to-one or even get a group of you together and go have dinner have a lunch. That's what we did. That's what I did last night.
Yeah. You're awesome at that.
Bring a group of people together. Yeah, bring a group of people together and reconnect because this isn't enough time to get to know somebody. No. You don't build trust by just hanging out and having breakfast, right? So I would say that. I would say keep an open mind, but remember, this is actually about your career. This is not just a bit of fun for the day, right? Yeah. So this is about learning. And they're going to learn a ton. I know that. So
excellent. Well, definitely they will learn a ton if they follow you. If you're interested in corporate boards, if you are a senior leader, or if you are interested in nonprofit boards, you're early on in your career and you're figuring out how do I add to my holistic resume, man, follow Naomi Kent, the corporate boardroom, boardroom co.
The boardroom company. It's the theboardroomco.com.
There you go. I knew that.
I didn't even know that.
All right. Well, look, we are so grateful that you're here.
Thank you
for. Oh my God, thank you. This is fantastic.
I think we're going to do the Chantra Naomi breakfast show from now on.
The Chantra Naomi breakfast show is coming. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about being a bad babe in the boardroom. That's what I'm talking about, right? All right. Awesome. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Enjoy the conference.